So some people who may be listening may be familiar with that word Aikāne, some people maybe not.
Can we dive into that word and kind of explain it to everyone who's watching?
Yeah, so Aikāne is one of my favorite words. Aikāne, if you look it up in the dictionary, and that's not the place you want to learn about Aikāne. Dictionaries are like these places that oftentimes, especially if you're a queer person, they just lack information. Dictionaries for people, okay? So if you look it up in the dictionary, it'll say like true friend in time of need. And then like number 2, it will say sodomy or sin. And so that's like the first kind of sad shame thing about these dictionaries, right? Is for whatever reason, folks who look like me, like us, who love like us, they kind of get erased out of that dictionary, right? And if you're in it, then you're only in it as something that is sinful or wrong. But that's not what the Moʻolelo says. And so one of my Moʻolelo Hawaii kumu, he told me once that Aikāne means that's like your ride or die homie who's there for whatever you need, right? So if you get a flat tire on the H3 and you need someone to come pick you up, call your Aikāne. If you are a little sexually frustrated and you need like a pick-me-up, like call your Aikāne. And in this Moʻolelo, one of the things we learned is that Aikāne can run the whole spectrum. All we know for sure is that Aikāne are really intensely intimate partnerships. And sometimes that means like sexually intimate, and sometimes it doesn't. Like we know that we have people who are close to us who are like super intimately connected to us, and maybe we don't want to sleep with them, but maybe we but we reserve the right to if we want to.
Exactly. We're not judging here, guys. I just letting you know, we're not judging. Do what you gotta do.
Yeah, exactly. So Aikāne has space for all of that. While all of that is happening, Hiʻiakaikapoliopele is off on her own adventure, and she is descended into Kea'au. And as she descends into Kea'au, she sees one of the most beautiful things she's ever seen. She sees a woman dancing at the edge of the sea, and this is really important because for a lot of hula practitioners, this woman that she sees is actually one of the kupuna of hula. So this could be like the first time Hiʻiaka's actually seeing hula, right? So she's just like taken aback. So as she comes down into Kea'au, she says, "Hui, ovaila oi, who are you? Tell me your name so that we can be made Aikāne." And so as she comes down, the woman comes off the water, and the woman says, "The name I was given by my parents is Nanahuki." And Hiʻiaka hears this, she starts to chuckle, because Nanahuki means to pull the glance. So when you're walking and you see this beautiful wahine crossing the street and you triple take, you got a side shoulder, okay. So that's Nanahuki, right? And so Hiʻiaka struggling because, of course, this woman is living up to her name. But then the woman says, "But everyone calls me Hopoi because I'm known to gather lehua and ohia at Hopoi." And so Hiʻiaka looks at Hopoi and she says, "Forevermore you shall be known as Hopoi." And then in that moment, they are then surrounded by an entire lehua grove that Hiʻiaka basically grows for Hopoi. And so Hopoi and Hiʻiaka, they go off for 3 nights and they become Aikāne. And she travels all the way back up the island chain until she eventually reaches Kauai. And when she gets to Kauai, the sound of the pahu is getting louder and louder and louder. And then she sees these 2 beautiful men, and beautiful. They got the big arm muscles and the nice, chest, the abs, and they're just banging on these pahu together.
Okay.
And I use that word intentionally, right? They're banging on these pahu together because these 2 men that Pele is seeing for the first time are Lohiauipo and Kauakahiapo'oa. And Lohiauipo is the ali'i of this place, of Ha'ena, on the island of Kauai. So, of course, he's the most handsome man on Kauai. And then his very handsome Aikāne, Kauakahiapo'oa. And so Lohiauipo and Kauakahiapo'oa, they are Aikāne. And in my reading of the story, they get pretty deep with their Aikāne-ness and what they do with each other. Okay, so
For everyone watching, let's just break it down. We on Aha Mahu, and we are very open and raw. So in other words, what I'm taking is that they're just very intimate lovers and everything under the spectrum of what it can be.
Yeah, so I'll give you an example. Later on in the story, Koa Kahiapaoa ends up sleeping with Pele. After they have sex, he starts crying. And Pele's like, what's wrong? And he says, this is the first time where I have indulged in these pleasures without sharing this with my Aikāne. And he's like distraught by this, right? So like we can put two and two together and be like, okay, so they've slept together, sometimes with other people, but also he like loves this man so much that indulging elsewhere without him, like he longs for him. Okay, so for anyone who's like, I'm not reading between the lines, like there's the lines and all the margins.